Bethesda have nailed the character creation system in Starfield. From what we've seen of the game and the new character creator, Starfield seems to strike a sophisticated balance between old-school hardcore RPG mechanics with modern and accessible leveling systems. Taking inspiration from the best parts of all of their games, Bethesda developed their new character creator to be welcoming to newcomers to the genre, but also deep enough for lifelong fans. In this video, we're going to revisit Starfield's character creator and explore how they turned complex RPG systems into something remarkably simple. Welcome to Starfield Signal, your place for everything Starfield, including character creation. First off, we see right here in the character creation, this is probably very much what we're going to see when we actually get the game. We have 5 different sections up here at the top: biometric ID, body, face, background, and traits, all of which have their own unique set of customization options for us. Starting out here with the biometric ID, this looks to be just a place where we kind of get our starting point aesthetically or cosmetically. And so we're starting with personnel records. These are going to be essentially our presets for what our character looks like. This is really interesting because if you are not the kind of player to really dive in deep into character creation, or at least the cosmetic side of things, then you can just pick a preset. It looks like we have up to maybe 15 different personnel records to choose from, just kind of based on what they have here on this scroll. See, I'm going to stop right there at, it says 13. And so I'm thinking that overall, we probably have about, from 1 right here all the way down to probably about 15, because right here is where 13 is. So I'm thinking that we probably have about 15 different presets. And remember, this was last June, so by now they could have 20, 30, 40, who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if they did have a few extra in there that we haven't seen before. Okay, we're going to keep going because that's pretty much it for this section. Moving on, it's going to get into the body, where we can customize our body type. And as you can see here, right here, it lets us kind of use this fluid system to go anywhere between muscular to heavy to thin. And so it's not just these, okay, pick a body type 1, 2, 3. You can actually, if you wanted someone who was pretty like ripped and muscular, go somewhere kind of here in the middle. If you wanted someone that was maybe a bit more like me, and I am not too muscular, and I'm definitely not thin, I might be somewhere kind of here in the middle. So that's fun as well. And then, of course, we do have body types just to get started with. And so, again, if you wanted to just get a starting point, you could go there, but you do have the ability to customize all throughout right there. And one thing I think is cool, they actually put in a walk style. This is neat, just overall, that we can really kind of dive into our role and our character and choose our own walking style. But I think this is telling because usually I feel like Bethesda games have their third person perspective. It's kind of like an added bonus, not necessarily an afterthought, but it's not something that they really tweak to make sure it looks good, and it all the animations are great. Most of the time modders have to kind of do this. But since they have this walk style here, I feel like that's telling that they are actually paying attention to this third person perspective and this experience that a lot of players are going to have in the game. So that's fun. And again, just something I wanted to note. And it also has skin tone, as you can notice down there. But once we get to the face section, skin tone's going to come up again. So I saved it for here. So here we have skin tone, head shapes, hair color, eyes. I imagine as you keep going down this list of different things you can do to change your face, there's going to be options to change your chin, options to change your nose, your ears, your forehead size, all of that. The typical things in a Bethesda game. But for right now, let's just kind of focus on what we have. So again, we have skin tone. So probably anywhere from a lighter to a darker. Here, this is number 3. And this already looks like a pretty, beautiful kind of olive skin. So I have a feeling you're going to be able to go pretty dark to pretty fair. I myself am very fair complected. Smell like fried chicken when I get out in the sun. It's crazy. All right, head shapes. I'm not exactly sure what typical head shapes are, but it looks like you have a few options here to choose from. And then, of course, hair. Let's keep rolling through, and we'll see a few different hair. I actually just see one different hairstyle, and then they go to the different hair colors. But you go from a shorter hair to a longer hair at 19, and if that's 19 right there, you're not even halfway yet, the halfway mark, and that's 19. We could probably expect anywhere from maybe 40 to maybe even 50 if they've added some more. And so that's fun too. Of course, you have what typical female, typical male, and then kind of any fluid hairstyles in between that you wanted to make. So that is exciting. They have a lot of options for customization there. And of course, hair is often a way that we express ourselves. So that's pretty cool. Coming on down to hair color, we do see that there are several different options as well. So if you wanted to go from blonde to brunette to redhead, you have those options. And of course, eyes, it doesn't show us any of those options, but we could imagine that it goes from blue to green to brown to maybe even different colored irises, which would be really cool. Okay, we're going to go on now to the background side of things. This is where it gets really interesting and where we get into less of the character creation, cosmetically speaking, and more of the actual role-playing mechanics of the game. And first thing I want to note here is actually on the right side of the screen, we have all of these different backgrounds. And again, these are kind of pre-made and preset. We could very well see added backgrounds once the game is released. We might even see some of these taken out. There already have been a few updates in the traits that we'll get to a little bit later. But here I think we have 15 or 16 different backgrounds to choose from. And the cool thing about these backgrounds is they all come with different combinations of starting skills. These starting skills are going to reflect what this background means for your character. For example, here they have a combat medic. If you wanted to roleplay as a combat medic, you might assume one of the skills you have is the ability to, patch yourself up, to heal wounds faster, or to maybe even heal your companions faster as well. And of course, right here in the middle, we see this medicine skill. Medpacks heal 10% more. And as we'll see again here in just a few moments, each of these skills you can kind of dive into deeper and rank them up. So I would imagine that this could go up to 12, 15, 20, maybe even 30% more. And so if you were someone who liked to dive into the heat of combat and then just heal yourself as you're going, or heal yourself after the battle, that could be a good perk to choose. But these are your starting skills for combat medic. Another thing I like about this, and this is a bit more abstract, but I was watching an H Bomber Guy video. Love Harris over there. He's great. And he talks a little bit about play conditioning. And this is essentially where the game kind of teaches you how to play by the resources it gives you or the situations it puts you in. And so I feel like this is a great way to condition the player right from the get-go in an RPG, because if you want to kind of teach people, hey, you can really, in this game, you can do anything you want to do, you can go anywhere you want to go, be anything you want to be. Here are some great options as kind of a starting point. And I love it that they connect these starting points with these skills to kind of teach the player, like, hey, these are just some suggestions for, if you want to be an explorer, your skills might look different than what a long hauler, maybe someone who is a trader and needs to be able to fly bigger ships. You need different skills for that. And so it's a good way to kind of condition the player, to teach the player a little bit about the RPG mechanics of the game without actually taking them through a tutorial. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's keep playing through the video. And as you can see, they're just going to go through a few of these and give you their starting skills. I'll probably come back to all of these backgrounds and all of the traits in a different video and dive in a little deeper into each specific one, and maybe even talk about, which ones seem to be the best starting skills, which ones seem to be the best starting traits, and then I'll also make some other videos on the opposite side, which ones should, kind of seem like, that's a fluff trait, or, that's a weird background. It's not going to help you going through the game, apart from role-playing, of course. But anyway, we'll come to those videos later. Moving on. And here we get to the traits. I think these are really interesting because the traits do lend themselves to a role-playing type of character. And so as we see here, if you select, we have all of these over here on the right-hand side, just like the backgrounds. And there's even a few more kind of at the bottom of this list. And just a parenthetical thought, these have been updated. We saw in a Constellation Questions video with Todd Howard back in either October or November of last year, 2022. I believe that specifically Starter Home was changed to Dream Home, and then Unwanted Hero was changed to Hero Worship. I believe they're still essentially the same thing. Starter Home's a little bit different, but we don't get to see what Unwanted Hero is here, but I think they're pretty much the same thing. And who knows, by June of this upcoming year, September, when it releases, we may even see more added traits, or they might tweak them a little bit. So just something to note. But as we go through here, you'll notice as soon as they select Introvert, that automatically, so Introvert was selected here, that automatically X'd out Extrovert. So some of these are exclusive, and that would make sense, right? If you're an introvert, typically you're not going to have extrovert characteristics as well. Of course, we're all different people, and several people have both characteristics of those things. But for the game, they're going to exclude that from your options now. And the same thing happens with Raised Enlightened and Raised Universal. If we go down to kind of scroll through, so here, that trait gives you access to a discount at their store. But as we go down to Race Universal, it says, okay, if you choose this one, you lose access to the Enlightened store. So again, those are going to be exclusive. You won't be able to do both of those. But these are really interesting. And I think there's some here that are really cool, like the Starter Home. I'll probably come back in another video and break down like which ones I think are the best starting traits. And Todd Howard seemed to indicate that you would be able to change these. I'm unsure if we'll be able to change the whole trait or just get rid of the negative impact that it might have through doing a mission in game. But there does seem to be there's a lot of options to build your character the way that you want to build them. Just a few notes about these cosmetic customizations here. I think all of these are really great, and they have a big variety, right? All the way from your gender to your hairstyle to your clothing. All of these definitely have a unique feel to them, which is really important in an RPG. So you have just, from this guy who looks like a Freestar Collective guy, kind of a space cowboy kind of dude, to, your security officer. That this kind of looks more like a casual outfit you might wear into Neon or something if you wanted to go clubbing. But again, lots of variety, and they all look very unique too. It's not just like, hey, you're changing the color, or you're changing a little bit of the outfit. All of them look very unique. Here we get into the skills section, which is probably the most interesting out of all of it, to be honest. I'll start here at the top. We have, again, 5 different sections: physical, social, combat, science, and tech. And all of these, as you'll notice, their badges have unique shapes to them. And so they'll be easier to kind of figure out, just at a glance, which ones you're working with. And they also seem to have some sort of, I'm unsure if this is like a hierarchy, these different colors, or if the different colors mean something. Of course, in each one you have, maybe the blue part is a skill that isn't yet assigned. You haven't put skill points into that one yet, because here, the reds are all full. Then you have the blues, and then you have the blues over here, which I assume are empty. And then you have the green, or maybe that's like a yellow. But I assume that means you have skill points in each of those badges or each of those skill trees. So I'm going to let this play through. And this is what's interesting once they get into one of these skills, I think they're going to go into ballistics here. So once you get one of these skills, you give it a skill point, you can then accomplish challenges in each of these skills to rank that skill up. As you see here, this ranks you up from rank 1, which has 10% more damage, rank 2, 20%, rank 3, 30%, and as you see here, they're going to spend this last skill point here and rank up to number 4. And that is going to increase their range by 30%. And that was actually one question I had that I didn't notice at first. As you're ranking these up, do you spend skill points just to get the skill and then your skill automatically ranks up as you accomplish these challenges? But it does look like you will have to spend skill points to rank each of these levels. But they only had to spend 1 skill point to get to rank 4. So it's not like, okay, as you get deeper into these skills, you have to spend more and more skill points. I like that. I feel like that's going to help you not be so invested into one specific skill or one specific play type that you couldn't easily start kind of building another part of your role or of your character. And then I want to go back for just a moment to look at these challenges. So for this one specifically, their challenge was to kill 250 enemies, specifically with a ballistic weapon. And so that lets us know that, you know, as you use each of these skills, whether it's for weapons or whether it's for research or whether it's, you know, socially connecting with companions or having dialogue, these are going to be the ways that as you use these skills, that's how you rank them up. But I do like that you have the freedom to put skill points anywhere you want to. And then as you start to figure out, okay, how am I actually going to use this? That's when you kind of start to see, okay, this is where I should start investing and putting more skill points into. So I really like this system. I think it's really smart. I think it's going to be really intuitive. And I think it's one of the things that kind of makes all these complex systems working together actually kind of simple and fun. So I think it's going to work. Here we see just a glimpse of the research and the crafting systems. As you see kind of over here on the left-hand side now, we have all of the different subjects or categories where we can do some research, from pharmacology, which I assume is, you know, your healing. It wouldn't be potions probably, or, you know, your healing flask or your bandages or your ability to mix things together and maybe even make bombs. That would be really cool. Food and drink probably has some healing capabilities as well. Outpost development, I know we're all excited for that. Your equipment, this one could have some depth to it. I noticed that lots of people are saying how they think there will be lots of different environments in Starfield through all of the 1,000 planets, right? And with that, there could be some that have hotter environments. There could be some that have colder environments, some that are, you know, have toxic gases. And so your equipment might be the way that they kind of gamify you leveling up so that you can access those planets or access those environments. You have to be able to craft a heat resistant shield for your spacesuit, or you have to be able to craft some sort of a gas mask to integrate into your tank. So all of those I think are going to have some really good depth to them once we see them in the showcase and then at launch in September. And then here we get into the weaponry a little bit more. We see all kinds of different things here, from different muzzles, different barrels, different grips, different sights. And I think this is a great way, again, just to add depth to the system, especially when you're dealing with weapons. Notice down here, these are your required materials. So this won't be as simple as just finding a new blueprint. You will have to find these required materials and maybe even fabricate some of your own sealant or some of your own materials to be able to make these mods and apply them to your weapons. Again, if you've enjoyed kind of diving into this character creation with me, I'll have some videos coming out that dive in a little bit more specifically and deeper into the backgrounds, into the traits, into the skills, talking about which ones, as far as the ones we know about and the ones we've seen here, which ones will be the best ones to start with, which ones will be the ones to probably avoid, hopefully maybe which ones they might tweak tweak and change before release. There's a lot of variety here. There's a lot of opportunity here, but I think overall, Bethesda have nailed this character creation system. I'm really excited to get in and try my hand at it. Thanks so much for watching the video. This is Starfield Signal, your place for everything Starfield. I would love for you to subscribe and like the video. Thanks for watching this far. For now, may you find wonder as you journey through the stars.